gravy from here on in. Welcome up your open maestro, Mr. Jeremy Springsteen himself.
They say that anything I do, you will follow me. The year I started drinking, you did too. We walk around with silly, sly fire. Strange secrets make up our last name. I read the message, dear sister, hidden so well in my Facebook inbox. Our secrets reduced to digital dialogue. You whispered for me. We hold this breath so close. My baby sister. There, the first time I stole the car for late-night copper mine joyriding. Always willing to rush headlong alongside me. We were arrested at least twice together. Do you know what our name means? Our people raised horses and lived near a river or a stream. And we know the conversations between horse and spring, how stubbornly we wear the name Springsteed. But you no longer. And this is the sincerest confession I make today. Though your husband is a fine man, he took you forever from our common name, and I can never forgive him. They say you admire me. The year I started wearing eyeliner, you did too. But sister, like when we were kids on bikes, and I tell you the hill was too steep, and you stayed at the top waiting for me to return. Please, little sister, hear me. You don't have to follow me everywhere. Thank you. Oh, what the hell is happening? Those speeches were incredible. But I got this huge list of names here, and I'm looking at. We're gonna take it to the features tonight on the open mic. This is just bananas, and we're gonna start with bananas. Welcome up to the Breadline open mic, first on the last of the year, Larry Chris.
Larry! So we dodged a bullet this last month. The same bullet we dodged back in May when the same evangelical nutjob said we were determined to come to the end according to his Old Testament math. And of course next year everybody knows the world will come to an end. So anyway, I have my canned goods, my bottled water, and my end of the world poem. This is called Last Day on Earth. On this, the last day on earth, I bathe, wash my hair, clean my nails, shave with a new blade. I dress because there's a chill in the air, put on that nice silky Hawaiian shirt, make coffee and use my favorite mug, Van Gogh, Starry Nights, the one with the little chip on the lip. I do all the things I normally do, try and pay attention to each task without thinking, gee, I won't be doing this anymore. That could drive me crazy before this day is done. I'd spend even more time staring out the window and looking at the sky than usual. I'd gaze at my car from the porch. It'll be crazy on the roads today. With my third cup of coffee, I add a shot, finishing that single malt I'd been saving. I smoke that bud I've had around for a while too. Then perhaps eat that Viagra someone gave me that I've had forever but was afraid of. That erection over 4 hours, see your physician warning. I could never tell if that was for real or just advertising. Anyway, what can I lose today? I'd make love to my wife. I try and take my time, but probably would not exceed 4 hours. With the time left over, I'd spread out all my favorite porn mags and hold a contest as to my very favorite. I'd already have made us a nice breakfast with my special crispy potatoes and perfect over-easy eggs, and we'd eat them on the porch, along with a tall Bloody Mary, while listening to Frank Sinatra, and perhaps dance a couple turns. I'd probably want to write a poem, but would resist this impulse. We'd talk, of course, but it'd be a vastly different kind of discussion. None of that when you're going to get a job kind of stuff, or could you clean out the garage, or is tonight recycling, or the house sure is getting dirty kind of talk. We wouldn't discuss the relationship. We'd be on to more personal metaphysical digressions, during which I'd probably make another cocktail while she'd clutch the cat and we'd both cry, and maybe she'd get a guitar and play that song she's never really played for me. She'd want to call her mother, and I'd want to check emails and open one last day of mail, but nothing would have come, and it wouldn't matter if it did. And I'd pull her off the phone and smash it beside where I'd already smashed the clock and television. And we'd discuss how we should have gotten together with so-and-so this one last time, deciding it would have been too painful on this, the last day. We'd continue sitting together, taking turns, holding the cat, holding each other, sharing bits of conversation, listening to our favorite tunes, and discussing what to do for dinner. And I'd go make us martinis instead with lots of olives, while our eyes continued trained on the sky, watching it get dark, waiting for the end together, waiting for it both alone.
All the tones, smoke and perfume. Fingers bloated, your cigarette wobbles, fumbles orange embers over ash burns on pockmarked carpet. At night, Bangkok lights up, a fire crackle of dazzle, a siren of longing, a wire in an electric socket. Red marks disturb the room and your mother frets. She lived, wary of danger, you a spectacle of dazzle. A little fingernail snags a wire in an electric socket. Red marks disturb the skin under dirt-caked broken nails. You quiver, a 6-year-old girl afraid to walk across the highway overpass to school. No answer. Remember when you asked to stay alone in the motel room to watch TV? Your mother's parting words, don't do anything rash. You look at me from across the room, you look at me from across the skin. Your cigarette wobbles, fumbles, shivers, orange embers, ash burns, pockmarked carpet. At night, Bangkok lights up, Groom Tep, the city of angels, bar girls. I believe she was a loose wire in an electric city. Red marks disturb the poem in your answer. You were a little girl and your mother left for work. Everybody fretted. Red marks disturb the skin, your cigarette wobbles, fumbles, precarious orange embers on pockmarked carpet. At midnight, Bangkok is bright, a city in danger. You say, I believe she was a mathematician. I believe she smoked cigarettes when she was young. You wore a red sparkling sweater, high heels, smoking, blowing one long breath, then another. No answer. Your mother, paranoid of danger, I tell you the truth. Sometimes I don't remember. You were a warring siren, wanting, a vessel of longing. I believe no one was young. I believe Bangkok was a factory of dazzle, an opiate of answers, a city of migrants, bar girls. You, a specter of darkness, a sliver of perfume. None of this is true. Sometimes I forget. Thank you.
I hate being told what dreams are. To believe the brain just collects the day, the alarm clock, and the exchanges and files and works it through and comes to terms with information. Don't tell me this, I refuse to listen, I disagree. When my eyelids become too heavy to lift, and each time I close my eyes, the noises become warped, a heavy cadence weaving itself into the air until the reality falls away into dark, and dark falls away into blue retina burns, laced with the warm pull to open my eyes again. Dreams refuse your scientific explanation. Last night, I did not dream. I woke up 3-4 times, and I left the house early. I started the engine and made the treacherous left turn. I dropped off my favorite book at your house. So when I tell you we are ghosts, you will believe me. I have never dreamed about flying or falling, and if the norm is to grasp at the impending death and the space underneath, then I am weird, and if I had wings, I hope I'd be a great blue heron, and if I fall, I hope the speed of dropping would kill me before the ground did. Do not tell me what a dream is. You are ruining the one part of my night when I won't exist the next morning, because tomorrow I'll be different. And I'll never know who I was when the memories came and went. So when I wake up, my skin is new, and the truth is just a fable. All right, you guys.
All right.
Woo!
Instructions on letting go of first loves. 1. Cry. Hard. Sob in the shower so the water streams over your face. This place will only know you are sad if you tell it so. 2. Remember everything you wish that you didn't. Cup it in fingers like seashell and hold that empty up next to your ear. Listen close until you hear the sound of the sea. Then drag bare feet upon coastline and feel lost. 3. Kiss. Drink down other boys' lips like a discounted booze. Don't think about rules or consequences. Tell yourself you will find a man who makes you dizzy again. 4. Make sure to spend time alone. Let heartache sink into your body like song. Learn every chord perfectly. It is there to teach you how to appreciate the value in giving part of yourself away. 5. Only let yourself believe you weren't good enough for one day. Make it the entire day if it must be. Yell at the mirror, if it was love, how could it just stop? Am I not smart enough, thin enough, pretty enough? Replay every argument till it dribbles from the side of your mouth. Like black plastic bags being dragged along sidewalks as you spit up molding vegetables and those last sips of milk in their carton. Let yourself fantasize about another woman with hands tracing his body like hers. Feel the fire rise in your chest because he still feels like yours and wonder if that's why you didn't work out in the first place. 6. Eat ice cream. Ice cream makes everything a little better. 7. Lean on all of those friends. Cook ridiculous sandwiches filled with as much fat as you thought you'd been, making tears. Eat them as you watch Eddie Izzard. And for the first time in what feels like years, really laugh. That infectious kind of laugh that doesn't stop until there are tears. The good kind. 8. Write. Like you always had and like you always will. Don't ever let the pain of something steal away the thrill of your passions. Although you shared many, they are still just as beautiful as they were before. 9. You are still just as beautiful as you were before. 10. When you find someone who will hold your hand in public, don't run away. Don't open your fingers like a cherry blossom, pretty and waving goodbye. Stay. It might not work out, but you know now that this isn't about the forever. It's about the day after day after day.
And welcome up Jack Remick.
I'm going to read a little piece from a novel called The Deification. The protagonist, Eddie, has just taken dictation from Jack Kerouac in an out-of-body experience, and he goes on an 11-day drunk. 6 o'clock, Market Street, drunk. Trolleys rumble underground, garbage trucks pump dumpsters into their black bellies, eating the leftovers of nighttime excesses, belch black streams of gas that ignited against the brown leather sky, tinged with pink at the edges, like a man with eye disease rotting from the rims in. Heart still ticking, CO-filled blood, the mechanical booze-soaked brain beat to the tune of DJs with holes in their tongues, laced with the lies of Listerine and begging forgiveness for the horrors of morning. Eddie ate it up. ate up the burst of dawn on the back roads of his eyes as he ate up the drunks who slithered against brick walls, heads bobbing, tongues coated with the yellow slime of bad wine out of green bottles. And he dug the smells of the decaying city oozing out of the hollow gut of night. He loved the feel of concrete, loved the feel of fog biting his face as he stumbled up Market, ready to die in the sun, and the cars and the tourists who ached for summer and the freshness of a day that never came. And he recited everything he had learned, every poem racing into his hot and fevered brain. He recited the odes to a G-string goddess until her words burned holes in his tongue in the alleys of Lower Mission, where smells fed frantic visions of rot and sick women, where he walked left trails of poetic diamonds strung in the minds and eyes and ears of hungry men who needed no mattresses to sleep on, men who needed no pillows, men who had no fences to mend, men lost in endless night, invisible and hurt and bleeding. And when Eddie, the madman with long hair boiling down his back and dirt under his fingernails, chanted Dugan's love tongue to the city while standing half naked on the steps of the post office, they bowed their heads in respect.
Yeah.
Overdose. The needle made a hole. The hole made a vacuum. The vacuum sucked in all things. Coke, dope, milk, blood, and money. The hole sucked in the furniture. Spiked army of ice-picked bluebirds. Slow twist tourniquet and moon tides. Sucked in the rugs, the lamps, the house, and puke, every color of the rainbow. A thorn to drain the heart's blood. It sucked opals dropped to sea floors, sucked in the kids, the wife, the cars, sucked in the stars in his scarred arms. No snazzy jazz note on the bottom of the blues. Black tar, voodoo stick, limbo tabo doomy. No birds sang, no mermaids, no refrains, no trumpets, no black angel, no Miles Davis, no fugue, no form, no figure. Just a hole. A windswept alley, snow in the village cold. Dirty down low, down Bleecker Street, so low. Even heaven forgot his musical name. Lying there from death to daylight. Big old hole in his beat soul. Oh baby, he weren't nobody's funny Valentine.
Okay. Let's see, this appeared in Staccato Fiction in February this year. It's called... Oh, sorry. Is that better? Okay. So this appeared in Staccato Fiction in February. That's great, thanks. It's called Confluence. Birds plague her, swooping from chinks in nowhere, swallows bullet every dash to fetch the paper, raking her hats, glasses, clothes, and hair, screeching at the nest robber and egg smasher, crimes of which she remains innocent. Crows dive bomb her umbrella, cawing ahead to the next tree or phone pole as she hurries past. Moving to a new city offers relief until a great horned owl tries for her ears in a park. Hypnosis reveals no past life, aristocratic shotgun slaughters or duck-blind massacres. She gravitates to the inside, scouring the internet and Animal Planet for clues. He is a target for precipitation, 3-time survivor of flash floods before age 12. Snowdrifts bank his address from early fall to late spring, while streets 2 blocks away remain bare. Thunderstorms stalk him through streets and alleys, lightning always a half step behind. The scout troop bans him from camping trips. His parents suggest a college a continent away, and he takes the hint. They meet, fall in love, sure they are greater than the sum of their plagues. Rain and wind dampen avian hostility. Back to back, they scan the sky for what comes next. Home is the desert. They construct a garden which never requires watering, covered by 2 layers of netting against both foragers and raptors. Wildflowers unseen for 100 years bloom annually. He is well paid to visit regions stricken by drought, a growth industry. She publishes ornithological studies on digression. Together, they build an oasis.
A little bit of context. Well, part one, she was hushing over my shoulder, telling me, urging me to write this. And part two, he, the chosen one, Jason Conger, was urging me to run through the tunnels that fill the earth beneath Las Vegas. I did not mean to do that. In trying to wash a blockade of, but you were sin of blackened heads. I sat, a frightened pyramid, burnt glass, overdoused, we all confront Las Vegas. Either we stand on its heat or break its image over our knee. Inflamed the quantum quadricept, latent urbania, eschatological ending. In the wine cellar you will be holding a shivering lantern to avoid, to consist, to repair, to capture, to act, to peak. It seemed the farther he went, he seemed going farther. Meanwhile, she was a string attaching beads to pattern around his neck. They were just a lock of metal licking time's ruddy cheeks. It could have been the tunnels, or the creep of dust, or the mountains made solid, made of lizard hearts. You are a creep of dust. I am a creep of dust. Here, the path you make is as rich as a saw blade preparing the new home, she said. I could have watched you become a skeptic, but I wasn't sure, he. It could have been the sprawl, the convenience, the diabetic brother waiting for him. This entrapment like a cradle, and we are not going up. No, no growing up. No, no ruby sunbeam, orderly flamingo carpets, mesquite breast perk. Footnote aquatics. To be bathing in a hyper blue pool, memory of the tar burning into your soul.
I've done this before. Okay.
My friend's father is named Rich Lang, and he's a pastor in this town, and he was pepper sprayed last night, and so this poem is for him. Icy fingers, lone basement, no guitars. Friend's father, maced in the face. Icy toes, York's eraser, one string. Can't write to save my life. Blown speaker, no hot water, 2 cigarettes. Milk like tears streaming, blind eyes. Jesus, please, may we not occupy your house. Icy fingers, cold field, 1 guitar string. I'll do my best.
The same spelling as the bar in Fremont. So. File that away.
Good
Booze. Now, Rasta Apostle was hanging with the Caesars at the beach club, talking about how they could become divine. They said, we don't need your black Jesus, we already own the beaches. They help us maintain peace of mind. Rasta said, there will be judgment, punishment times 100 for all the wicked things you've done. They replied, we already picked the judges and we're paying Peter's budget, had security tossing in the mud. Back in the capital, the prophets had assembled for a rally at the temple, said, we're gonna show some signs. But it had been set by the commission from where they could petition, and the barons all just rolled on by. Now Peter was in his cathedral, praying against evil, his posse in the pew benign. Luke said, can't we hold a meeting with Herod about his legions? Peter said, God works in his time. Now Moses was choking upon all the words he'd spoken, seeing how his law had been cast. President and his cabinet had memorized all 10 commandments, said, this will help us get shit passed. Now Jesus was in Cleveland, Cleveland, hanging with the heathens, sending them out 2 by 2. A prominent professor asked to be a member. Jesus handed him a bender, said, "First you gotta learn the blues." Now the people were all seated on their sofas sleeping, nose into the daily news. It was busy spreading rumors about salvation for consumers. Go forth, do what you gotta do. Thank you. And belly sky. Sea, gray as heron's feathers. Smooth as asphalt, kind of. Sushi chef with small knife, splitting cucumbers. Chop, chop, chop. Wind's been wearing red lipstick again. Kissing up on all the trees. Sloppy kisser, wind. Rose hips from the bushes. Kiss me too. San Juan Islands, like a fleet of old dreadnoughts, docked. War's over. Sailors all gone home to their sweethearts. Open to the public now as museums. Air is calm. Maybe the Dalai Lama just got finished speaking here. All things reflecting on the nature of their beings. Cessation. Even the squabbling amongst the gulls. Even the agony lit within the stones. Something's on the landscape's mind. Amber glow from behind a paper lamp. Old man in his chair, drifting off to sleep. Does he wake? Trail agrees to keep my footsteps secret, as it does for deer, coyote, the hour of 4 a.m., rising full moons, an empty pair of wandering eyes. Thank you.
As scientists, you liked being able to predict the future, using logic, separating components late at night until you found the answer. So it was only natural that you went back to my childhood and started looking for warning signs after they found severed body parts in my apartment. When you asked me why I poured motor oil into the goldfish tank, I don't think I was honest with you. I should have told you I wanted to see them suffer, that I felt like I was living in a fish tank all those years, being watched by you and Mom, and always being told I was doing something wrong. They needed to stop moving so that I could watch them. Dad, they said you should have known. When I became fascinated with the fluidity of things and wanted to play with animal bones like fiddlesticks, sneaking roadkill into Grandma's basement to dissect, letting the smell of death rise from beneath her floors, I killed our dog Frisky and put his head on a wooden stake. I wanted to present him to the world, to show the beauty of something long after it's gone, to outsmart the fleeting and keep something forever, even if it was just a part of it. How could you have known? You were just a father trying to raise his son. When you found out I stole that mannequin from the department store, piece by piece, starting with his feet, and placed his limbs in shopping bags, I don't think you understood why I did it. I sawed off Anthony's head, I opened his chest, explored his insides to find out how he worked, what made him tick. I needed to hear the sound of his pulse like an amphitheater coming up from his rib cage. I needed to hold his organs in my hands, if but just for the sense of touch. Like when you made me hold the dead goldfish in my hands. It was then I felt closer to them. When they couldn't get away from me, and I could hold them forever. The teachers told you I was shy, that I wouldn't play with the kids at recess. They were always running away from me. It was only when I convinced a girl to let me dangle a pocket watch in front of her, I found out how it worked. They wouldn't have done what I wanted to if I had just asked them. I had to put them under a spell, Dad, hold drills to their skulls and watch them bleed, pour hydrochloric acid into their streams, rewire their brains like zombies, and then stay with me. Place their heads in boxes and organs in freezers, and keep them locked long after they were removed. And when you found that wooden box, I told you it was pornography. I lied to you. I wish you hadn't trusted me so much. Maybe then the secrets in that box could have been revealed. I could have taken the locks off, the one on my mind. Father, you don't have to forgive me, but you do have to listen. This wasn't a cry for help. I just wasn't born with all my parts. Yes, you created me, but that was not an experiment of yours to make. You couldn't then take the sum of all my parts and make me whole again. I'm sorry you had to watch my past unfold on TV screens and read about me in the paper. But when I was caught, it wasn't them I was confessing to. It was you.
I was finally letting you see what was inside the wooden box all those years, opened up myself like the victims' bodies, and let you see we all have an addiction, Dad, something inside us fighting to surface. But what if I told you I could have stopped? That the compulsion was something I could have controlled? Would it have made it better? I am your son, Dad, your flesh and blood. But haven't you ever just wanted to taste something to better understand it?
Weird that this is the first time I've done the open mic here. I did feature.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Next year I promise I'll do more. So this is a brand new thing that I just wrote, so new that it's handwritten. What goes on while we talk about nothing? November pour drowns out snores and mountain moans as fog shrouds shoulders. Hibernation rolls in with clouds, rolls in with, how did you sleep last night? Beavers busy themselves caulking windows and sealing foundation cracks, storing quaking aspen, alder, and birch trees in flood pond refrigerators, built with teeth and mud, built with, it's okay though, the sunrise was worth it. Dry summer grass grows green and long, too wet for rusty manual mowers' dull spiral of blades. Grass tangles, refuses to tear. Roots grip dirt with a 10-pound force. Occasional pour gives way to constant mist, gives way to, it gets dark too early now. Anna's hummingbird flits too fast for droplets to settle, to weigh down wings. Left behind for migration with crows, Anna's hummingbird tongues nectar from flowers until frost encroaches, leaving only sap found in holes drilled by woodpeckers, drilled by, it's okay though, I don't have to work until 3. Nests, spider silk sewn and lichen wrapped, survive winter rain, unlike webs from which they are woven. Spiders retreat inside, gather in corners, on windowsills, clustered by molding, spinning webs that stretch from room to room, that stretch from, you make me so happy, to, smell this. Has it gone sour?
First
Thank
number,
you.
best number. Page 1 or page 7?
7.
1. 2. If you want to not listen, that's okay. Stop texting. Thank you. It's a muddy thing, looking back at the was, always smiling for the camera, touching up the color. Memory as neither process of retrieval nor creation, but game, timed, no real rules of play. How can win or be lost? You were alone in the merciless, naked city, ear to ear a smiling, positive integer. Frozen among skyscrapers, pigeons, gutters, the downpour, you walked the length of it, forgetting the different sounds vowels make and their meanings. There is reason learned men write in plain speak. A grain of sand, a crack in the sidewalk. When the wood dries, fire. When skin dehydrates, it's time to get out of the water. When fresh becomes brine, it's all you can do not to choke or stutter. When you talk to bait, tell it straight. You're hooked. If a corporation has the rights of man, will I become some other algebra? Will I pray to not return a person? In a blue-black room, the eye trails a wisp of smoke from a dying embryo. Plots hatch from sinister eggs. into grown adult plans. I am an only child. So is my brother. Dibuk, Duppy, Dusek, Duende. To each culture, its own ghosts, its own unforgivable little betrayals.
A song about cancer. For real. You're a bad person if you don't cry that anyways.
you remember 17? Do you remember? Do you remember 17 and -1 or more? Now Dolan dripping toward a decade bird. From photographs in the ruins, dutifully dodging ephemera along carpet-stained floors. Old lives, not ours. Now dancing, dust, dusk. Orange blossoms hover, stagnant. They're so sweet. So sweet. There, borrowing bedrooms, wearing wallpaper for memories that belong to someone. Here, someone else. On mornings or Mondays of warm desert winters, abandoned, last left in haste. We are barely standing, but, and then but, oh, how photogenic. What angles, what patterns, those colors that decay. Now dripping toward a decade bird, the smells, skeletons of metaphor, bovine skulls perched on heaps of furniture torn, cold appliances marked useless. Time paints them dry and crust, stale. And heels, they should have been mine that broke and that bled, not that fell in fatigue and stopped running. Chase and trample, what is love if not transcontinental? It is domesticated bird, and I never was. But now bruised, I deride, no, not now because. Believe only if. Can you remember? Do you remember 17? Fences, camel-stained doors and stolid ports. Americana striped with straws about our wrists. Kneeling toward that night on peanut butter knees of solid soil, of sodden soil. Road trips in Seattle, make-believe. I don't see what you can see at 17. 25 tapes broken, bundled, adhere, 25. So few years have passed and this you wrap to replicate. The image, the room. Static, stale dust particles, particulars for the crust. Strewn. Wallpaper torn, now thin, now bound, now boxed of boards unborn of us. Sit down and bathe, I know. A past not yours. Yet whomever for, if not for, you. Now a shell I can step into and out of. No feeling left but curious pastiche so far removed, so long removed as to numb, near next embrace cease. Paint, poetry on poses, draped discontent, please. Across furrowed window, wooden floors, skate cities, please. Hammer to particles your knees. There we wrap wrists about camera cords and in orange blossoms rest, revile feet. Today stock still stagnant, a decade or more, and kilometers north it was only a detour. Now we might see to sandwich the silence and unfasten the seam. It screams color, brown bird of a dream. Do you remember? 17 and -1 or more. I walk through yours, dodge ephemera, fading photographs, microwaves, learned chords, then content. Their wind whistles tunelessly me, a song for your decade. What was it all for? I woke today and found it difficult to breathe, so I ask, do you remember?
This is a poem, just so you know. So I said, can I get a sex on the beach? She said, yeah, you can. I nodded in approval and leaned back against the bar to take in the frenzied pace of a Saturday night and declared, I dig this. And someone told me, people don't dig anymore. I made a fist. I slammed it down, drinks rattled. And if that weren't irrefutable enough, I continued, you don't gotta call it dig, man, it's just inevitable. He scoffed. In the haze of a certain relative proximity to inebriated sagacity, I mused, what did that bastard think was happening to me? D, I, and G are perfectly fine letters to summarize my relationship with the qualities of 7-foot-tall transvestites and the people crossing the Pike Street corridor, oblivious to that glowing red-handed patron saint of stop. Strange thoughts on this night.
I noticed I was without a cigarette to poke at naysayers, so I wandered outside to the smoker's corral. The mood there was calm, rejuvenating, like a chapel. And on the wall, an illuminated manuscript revealed that old dirty bastard died for our sins. Man cannot abide a living God, even when its face is our own. Witness, we say, and pushed our heroes through the plate glass of deification, hog-tie them to the fate of necessity, watch them fall to the teeth of aesthetic and apathy. I made my way back onto the streets, asking not for whom the bell tolls, because it is last call. No more games, no more indolence, no more young gods, for they hide their faces beneath the shadows of the streetlights.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Rest assured, this is not a drag show. In any case, I always detested disco and Madonna. And I still listen to Frank Zappa and 70s progressive rock. Okay, let's get going here. This is called Dear Elizabeth and All Others. Oh, you want? So, what do you know? Last time I went to Cheap Wine and Poetry, I was told that at the previous event, I read a piece that made some people in the audience a little uncomfortable. And I thought, well, of course, the ultimate politically incorrect interaction. Heterosexual. Initiated by the guy. He's an older dude. The dude has an accent. Steve gave me the very understanding look of a preschool teacher and strongly suggested I should drop it, especially the accent thing. Okay? I dropped it later that night. Elizabeth went up on the stage and read a piece about her solo nature expeditions. In it, there was a line that really, really struck me. And it went something like, are you afraid that I will outmacho you? So just for the record, dear Elizabeth and all others, no. In fact, please do. You see, I spent 3.5 fucking years in the Israeli army, and I have no problem having my partner doing all this nature stuff all on her own. Now, are you ready? You're not afraid? Can I ask you? Let me ask you this. Are you afraid I will outgirl you? Okay, good. Will it bother you if my nails will occasionally be longer than yours, or that by now I consider myself to be a lingerie expert? So, when you come back home from your latest exploration, I'll open the door for you, wearing my pink satin robe. And you will gladly untie it to see what I'm wearing underneath. And later, as you sit in the bathtub, I'll rub your back and bite your neck till you don't know what to do. No need to feel threatened. Yes, I'm older. I have an accent. But I'll be the last person to jump on you in a dark alley. In fact, I'm likely to be the one who runs away, provided I'm not wearing
heels.
Hey, you got it. I did. And look at the possibilities. You're too young, I'll spare you, but I can be both your older man and lesbian fantasies, all wrapped in one delicious, thematic, hairy package. Yes, it may be out of the ordinary, but together we can make a difference. So go ahead. Be a real pioneer. Ask me out. I'm waiting.
I have nightmares. Nightmares that I'd really like to share, but I'm scared because what if I can't stay awake this time? And what if I fall asleep and they find me again? What if my ADD, DYSLEXIC, dyslexic, I mean dyslexic, brain can't separate reality from dreams anymore? And what if those little tiny pills won't put me to sleep anymore? And what if every day felt like Halloween? What does this mean? It means I have nightmares and daymares and 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week mares, like hairs, like the ones coming out of your head, turning into the kind that are rabbits, running farther from your thoughts and publicizing your habits, then stopping. Because once they're out there, you're on your own, but you can't find the truth in the lies that have overgrown your home. The unknown starts to seep in through every single crack, cracking whips of shock and uncertainty as they settle in my back. Now the burdens I've bundled into pillowcases beneath my sleep stack high upon my shoulders like yellow parakeets. One by one, they get taller and heavier, pushing my feet to the ground. Cement growing on my goosebumps, making me one giant mound. Underground statue with bloody feathers, sticking out like Moncala pieces put into a stepping stone by a 5-year-old. I have nightmares, the kind where you leave us, the kind where you leave us in a house on an island, like that one in Harry Potter, just one little house, one mother and 2 daughters. We hear a knock, knock, knock on the door. Expecting your return, I would let those hinges fly to expose a sailman dressed like Charlie Chaplin, who opened a briefcase and turned my sister's face into a pancake with a bacon mouth and 2 fried egg eyes. I want to try to shut my eyes so tight that I can open them back to real life. A view of a bed where my sister's blonde hair laid on a pillow, no breakfast foods in sight, and say goodnight. But I can't, because I have nightmares.
I write songs. I've never really written a poem, but I feel like I actually work with Jeremy. I make coffee with him. And this is my first night here, and the environment was so awesome. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just sing into the microphone a song I wrote or something, because it's words that I wrote, so this is a pop song, I guess. It's called Little Ghost. Little ghost, I hear you, you're laughing in my tracks. Like sunshine in the winter, I don't know when you'll come back. Little ghost, I see you when I go to sleep. I pull the sheets over my eyes and still you won't leave me. Ooh, ooh. You know, I don't know, you know, it's just a little ooh. You know, some oohs with the guitar and stuff. And, little ghost, I've seen you, you're still in my shadow, so you can walk behind. All I need You're not mine, you're not mine. Ooh, ooh. But little ghost, don't go home. No ghost, please don't leave. 'Cause if you are a memory, I want you here with me. I'll keep you in my pocket with the pieces of my heart. 'Cause that is what I know. Oh, you are. Thank you.
Next, you have handwriting like I have handwriting. Craig H. Craig H.
I'm a little bit disappointed to not be totally last. So I'll dedicate this to Brian, who will be last. Almost. Is there more? No. Feels good, doesn't it? At least you're not me. Can everybody understand my accent? Sorta. Hey, you can't count on me. Well then, she snapped her cell phone shut. I'm sorry. He didn't look apologetic. Oh, fuck you. The light shifted. He shrugged. What else is new? A helicopter droned over a neighborhood. Its spotlight swept the street below. She gesticulated. Everything. This changes everything, so everything is new. Then to the waiter. Check, please. On the street, people held placards declaring things they wanted and didn't want. It changes nothing. One of the placards said, "Money is not speech." Just because you can say that doesn't make it true. Because I'm an asshole? Yes. No more hazmat neoliberalism. Yes, because you're an asshole. She looked up at the helicopter. There was a time when I thought you were sweet. Where did that thought go? You're asking me? A news reporter held a microphone and spoke into a blinding light. A woman wearing nothing but a tuxedo painted onto her body, complete with a monocle, stood in front of the reporter. You see, it's a shame, really. The reporter shoved the woman. Mine or yours? We need firemen to beat back your flames of corruption came down over the reporter's head. I think that will cover my drinks. I'll let you pay for the food. She got up and walked out the door. He stared at the back of her chair. Fuck, that hurt, the reporter shouted. You shouldn't have pushed her. The waiter brought the check. I have a story to report. This is the story, you shit, yelled the tuxedoed woman, picking herself up and slapping the dust off her legs. He wadded up his napkin and tossed it on the table. In his wallet, with his credit cards, were snapshots of his family. The freckled daughter gave a gap-toothed smile. The son had been in a mood. The wife wore her permagrin. This is just a spectacle, the reporter growled. Tux lunged at the reporter and throttled him. In another picture, he was on a whitewater rafting trip with some buddies. The reporter gasped, "Get clear of me!" The river surged, flanked by terraced cliffs. The reporter punched Tux in the monocle. He felt the raft rise and dip. He tried to steady himself. The protesters fell on him. The cameraman squatted and shot. The sound man positioned the boom just out of frame. The raft hit a rock and he flew forward, falling far away.
And go away. Thank you all for, this was really a great year for me, and really great to have you all here and participate and listen and share, and you're all excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for putting it on.
And also, many people you've heard of, so I have upcoming reading features and shows, ask them. They'll tell you where they're doing things.
I promised to do it earlier when I read my piece. In my age, memory is a tricky issue. Turn to the side. Okay, some of you may check some search engine for a Lebanese politician named Walid Junblat. J-U-N-B-L-A-T.
I thought I recognized you.
Jeremy is a younger version of that guy, so I hope you appreciate it. Thank you. J-U-N-B-L-A-T. Thank you.
And thank you. Welcome up, final to close out the year on the Breadline Open Mic, Bryant's Mason.
Thank you. Quick plug, I will be back next month with Craig, Doug, Daniel, and a few others as part of the Interrupture Holiday Poetry Extravaganza. So come back. Right? Yeah. This is thankfully short, and I'll keep it brief. It's a poem written around some lines by Jack London. I would rather be a penchant for other man's nonconformity. I would rather be a vagabonding boy, will too until President of Cleveland. I would rather be halting Kelly's army at the edges of Washington. I would rather be a man's hand in shaping shapes not merely. I would rather be shaped by the lessons learned being that moment. I would rather be a raft down the Mississippi. I would rather be so much razzle-dazzle in the rough. I would rather be a pair of hips to clasp a corkscrew soul. I would rather be while pulling children from the flames. I would rather be shaking the sabotage of socking her in the mouth. I would rather be the proud poster boy pivoting in place. I would rather be on an open road to Erie County, New York. I would rather be this prisoner's hallucination in the nightmare. I would rather be beneath the dream ignites the pen to strike the match. I would rather be a superb meteor, every atom of me in magnificent glow. I would rather be a superb meteor than a sleepy, permanent planet. Thank you very much.
If you haven't picked up a Queequeg EP, $5 for the rest of your life. If you haven't dropped a couple of ducats in our donation basket, do so on your way out. Get on our email list. It's been a year. It's been a Breadline.
Cheers. Woo!